we have got ourselves a Steel Talons versus Skrin, and ordinarily blue versus purple would annoy me, but in this case, I think it'll be fine. Spawning as the blue Steel Talons, this is Tasher 2006, and on the right side, playing that purple Skrin, this is Violet. Playing Violet, named Violet. And this is Threshold 19, a map that we have seen before. A map that is stormy, as you hear the lightning strike right there. And we've seen this map in multiple iterations. I think this is an older version of the map, but that's okay. This is an older replay as well. So, wow, that was really loud. We got kids in the house. It is getting near Christmas time. And we got Topbird in the house, but then we also got cousins in the house as well. So there might be some kid noises in the background behind me. I can hear them. I don't know if they are coming through, but for the current moment, it's looking fairly normal. We do have a nerve center real quick out of Violet. This isn't necessarily a huge anything just yet, but it is going to be a delay of that second refinery by a bit. Maybe a little bit less Tiberium for the Skrin player, and a little bit more focus on dev tanks. Although if it's just one dev tank, that isn't necessarily the biggest. The kid noises blend into the Skrin noises. That's probably pretty true. One dev tank is not necessarily the biggest of deal. Okay, two dev tanks. This is more than just a safety net. Sometimes you will see a player go for a Seeker or a Gunwalker and then go quick into dev tanks if there is some kind of ground-based army that they need to deal with from a GDI or a NOD player. But in this case, Tasher is going to be going for a very normal expansion timing. He's got his 2 refineries up top. He's got his 5 harvesters up top as well. Perhaps even a 6th harvester on the way. You could maybe even say Tasher has gone a bit too heavy into the eco. And, well, with a Corruptor as well, is this going to be a 1-base super aggro build coming out from Violet? Violet puts the violence in Violet, but this is Steel Talons, so we'll see if the crushes come through from these Titans. It does look like there is. Oh no, that's actually a Tib silo. That is not a watchtower that's ready to go. And this one dev tank already doing some pretty massive damage to these Titans. And of course, the Corruptors are here. 2 of them are here to help deal with the damage from these Titans. Corruptors taking a couple of shots here. Dev tanks back up to full health pretty much here and recharging. So Violet is going for a normal economy behind this, but a super duper delay to that economy. For now, it's not paying off, but with that first Titan falling, that may be the first domino or the small version of the snowball that is getting ready to roll down the hill, growing ever larger until it's just overwhelming to their opponents. Lightning Spike going to be coming in here as well. One of the nice things about having that nerve center nice and early on is having the Lightning Spike as well. Now, all of the harvesters have been pulled off of this field. It is just up to the Titans. It is just up to their firepower and not at all up to the harvesters to be under threat. Titan coming in for a crush will get a couple of units in one move there. The jankiness perhaps of the terrain and the pathing maybe will spell doom and demise for those units. The Lightning Spike will fall soon after, and actually that heavy harvester has taken a lot more damage than I expected. MCV has moved somewhere on this map, okay, down to the southern expansion, making this his natural, which would normally be the 3rd base, but instead it is the 2nd base in this case. There's 3 more dev tanks right away, so this is not a big eco boom game from Violet. As you can see, Violet down about 6,000 credits in total resources gathered. It would be a lot more if the harvesters had been working full-time at the natural expansion, but because of how much pressure was here, our Steel Talons player has had significantly reduced income Okay, maybe not significantly, but about a fifth reduced income, maybe about 20% reduced income compared to where he would have been. Descents moving forward. Violet might get an opportunity to catch a harvester here. It does fill up just in time, and the harvester will be able to escape, at least for the current moment. Wolverines are out, a couple of riflemen as well. Tasher may not have seen these descents, but he at least has a well-rounded enough army that he is going to be ready for them when they show up, and it looks like he has seen them either with a scan or a unit. Mine drop does get deployed. Descents going to be walking right into that, and this is like the perfect reverse move away from these descents, lighting up as many of them as you can, and it's not enough to completely clean up those descents, but Tasher has done an amazing job of dealing with the pressure that was thrown at him. Okay, we'll see if he's going to do an amazing job with this pressure as it is thrown at him. But so far, Tasher has done an amazing job dealing with the pressure that's thrown at him and pivoting out of it into a very normal game. It looks like Violet is hoping to open up two areas of attack, one in the north and one in the south. These dev tanks kind of circling the Steel Talon's base, looking to open up an opportunity, but it's going to be APCs loaded up with riflemen in the south, dealing with those descents extremely easily, and those descents have been shut down hard behind this. It is a triple Storm Rider transition, and I should say a triple airfield Storm Rider transition, because it's not just 3 Storm Riders that are being produced here. It is a whole lot more than that. APCs deploying those mines, trying to trap these dev tanks, trying to slow them down so that the Titans can actually catch up with them. And in the end, the dev tanks may go down. A lot has been lost here for both players, but it feels like Tasher has done an amazing job of holding everything off, and we'll see if that continues, because the next stage of this transition is now here. 1 harvester down, 2 harvesters down, a 3rd harvester could quickly be eliminated. But no, these are not APCs, these are MRTs. They have riflemen inside of them, and 1 or 2 pit bulls at a time is just not going to be enough to deal with these Storm Riders. AA battery is here, but Storm Riders are tanky. They can absorb a good amount of punishment before they're forced to run away, and they will most likely be able to escape. More Storm Riders could be even produced behind this to come back for another pass a little bit later. And the amazing economy of Tasher, 78,000 total resources gathered, is about to crash down to 0. That plus 13k per minute in income is about to grind to a halt, and this is a lot of decent number of pit bulls out now. However, the Storm Riders have mostly survived, many of them low on health, but still alive, still shooting, and Tasher makes the right call. He says, well, my economy is trash. Let's see if we can go across the map and end the game. And these Storm Riders, if the anti-air can be eliminated, are going to be the perfect tool to stop this Steel Talon's push. Steel Talons may rule, but they don't shoot up. Is Violet ready? 4 gravity stabilizers ready to go, but what is here on the ground to actually deal with this army? It's all in the hands of the Storm Riders, and Violet is hoping that it is going to be up to these Storm Riders to kill all of the anti-air, to deal with the pit bulls, and then chop down the army bit by bit, piece by piece after that. Violet, never really having more than 1 base of economy, does not really have anything on the ground. I actually can't believe how little Violet has been able to produce in this game. Really, just these 2 sets of armies. And the result of that is that Violet may be able to kill off this army, but behind the scenes, Tasher is going to be getting 2, 3, 4 minutes to be able to rebuild everything back at home, and Violet is going to have to pick up and run off into the corner of the map. It's going to be up to these Storm Riders, which Tasher is now going to have an incredibly long time to prepare for and respond to, because, yeah, Violet killed every single pit bull, all of the anti-air of this army, but there is not much left here for Violet. There's the drone ship over there in the corner of the map, floating away from danger, and I think that's just kind of it for Violet. Tasher lost an incredible amount of economy, but with all of the pressure on the other side of the map, which again just seemed like the correct, perfect move, this is kind of game over. Like, Violet can still maybe find some way to come back in this game. Oh, the Pitbulls finding these Harvesters is amazing. Pitbulls not all together, so they're kind of getting jumped on one by one. All of the Storm Riders were able to focus down those Pitbulls one by one as they led into this position, and now the Storm Riders can cross the map. There are still AA batteries on the other side, but at the very least, the Harvesters are safe. That is a lot of Tiberium that was just preserved by Violet, and it's partially because those Pitbulls streamed into the base. Yeah, those 4 Pitbulls should not be out on their own. They do manage to get a kill on another Storm Rider. Oh, I forgot these 3 Tib Spikes. These 3 Tib Spikes cranking away for Violet. Even 4 Tib Spikes. Violet stole one of the Tib Spikes from his opponent, so that's something I have not taken into account, is that Violet's 4 Tib Spikes have been cranking away this entire time. But these 4 Harvesters being saved by the Storm Riders is a huge benefit to the economy of the Skrin player. And in this case, the Storm Riders will not be stopped by a couple of Pitbulls, and instead the Storm Riders will look for any additional damage that they can do. Tasher losing virtually every Harvester on the map, and I actually don't know why Tasher has not rebuilt more. Maybe even just sell off all of this infrastructure up at the main base, sell off maybe half of this, one of these refineries and maybe a couple of these power plants, and rebuild over here on that new expansion. Storm Riders being targeted down. They can just escape into the Threshold Tower there in the north, and Violet has rebuilt refinery into the nerve center, into 2 more gravity stabilizers, the portal to get enough descents to deal with any Pitbulls that show up. And other than that, the APCs have all been cut down, so now these descents actually have an opportunity to do something, and this is just so many Skrin Harvesters for 1 refinery, only 1 refinery. Descents find a slingshot, and, well, the slingshot does escape for now. Lightning Spike gets deployed. Tasher doing an amazing job, I feel like, in the first part of this game, but not doing very well in the second part. And this is where holding on to infrastructure is nice, but I feel like selling things off so that you can rebuild your base in a more optimal position is the better call here. Tasher did an amazing job of crossing the map and cleaning up everything that Violet had, but then didn't do an amazing job of recovering on the back end after that. Descents push in. Violet finds the weakness, this area of exposed Harvesters. Rifleman is not even responding. Watchtower gets deployed, and AP ammo was at least purchased, so that is a nice benefit. And those mines that were deployed by APCs, or rather by MRTs, so long ago, coming back into play. And this AA battery, Harvesters don't move back, so the Harvesters are on the edge of this field, or on the edge of the range of that AA battery. Okay, that's why, because there's 4 slingshots and Pitbulls ready to defend. Violet getting more and more time to rebuild and respond. Violet has almost caught up on the economy, about 8,000 credits behind, despite the fact that Violet was not harvesting at all for a couple of minutes there. Didn't really have a base to speak of. And even with all of that, Violet has stabilized on economy, and even though Tasher has so much more infrastructure than Violet, the economy of Tasher just doesn't seem to be keeping up. The total number of Harvesters in terms of Harvester per refinery has been such a bad ratio for Tasher for most of this game. Seeker tanks moving across the map, and these are Seeker tanks with force fields, so they can take a couple of extra shots from those Steel Talons units. Titans moving in. Slingshots don't get caught by those Seekers. Once again, with the existing Storm Riders, however few there are left. Well, never mind. This entire Secret Tank army just says, we're going to try something else. We don't really want to do this right now. So it's back to the drawing board. Triple warp sphere. Does Violet actually have enough income to justify a triple warp sphere? I feel like instead of going for that third warp sphere, you could have gone for a third harvester or a third refinery much faster, and that would have been more beneficial. Or even expanded back into the main base, which is regrown a decent amount. I'm not sure that 3 warp spheres is really justified here. Power plant does get eliminated. Lights go out for Tasher. He's a bit overdrawn on power, but finally the slingshots catch most. Once again, a Storm Rider escapes with barely any health. These slingshots have found most of the targets. And yeah, in these situations, you might just have to sell off some of these extra structures. Marv is on the table here. Seeker tanks moving into position. They got at least 1, maybe 2 harvesters there at the main field of Tasher. And the Seeker tanks getting pummeled by these Steel Talons Titans. But it almost doesn't matter as long as they are able to kill enough harvesters and keep Tasher on the other side of the map. Then losing a couple of Seeker tanks is okay as long as Violet can buy enough time to roll into the next phase of the game and get more economy underneath him. Violet is now actually past Tasher in total resources gathered. So for the whole first, like, 15 minutes of the game, Violet was behind in total resources gathered. That extreme aggression that we saw at the beginning, and then the pivot into the Storm Riders meant that Violet just never had a strong economy. However, last couple of minutes, Violet has been the one with the strong eco. More Seeker tanks, more Gunwalkers. This is like a pure Skrin ground army. Pure Tier 1 Skrin ground army from a Violet. Another Storm Rider gets cut down. Couple of Grenadiers inside, or at least 1 Grenadier inside of this Marv. No Zone Troopers, of course, with Steel Talons. And maybe Tasher will just Marvist this big southern field instead of going for the kill on the base. 1 Lightning Spike over there again. And, well, maybe Violet is going to just try and cross the map in the north while the Marv goes down to the south. Yep. It's going to be an attempt at the backdoor attack once again. Fortunately, there is a Marv on the other side of the map for Tasher, but Tasher is now going to be losing his original main base, and the Shard Launcher upgrade comes in right as this attack lands. So if this was a different game, we might call that a timing attack, but I don't think that was really a timing attack in this case. And I think that was maybe even an engineer snipe there in the corner. There goes the War Factory, and the Titans can be slowly chipped away at as long as most of these Seeker tanks stay out of range. Seeker tanks pushing forward. They're able to get 2-3 of these Titans before the rest of them can catch up, and there's no crushes happening here for the Steel Talons player, so he's just losing these Titans 1 by 1, and now there's no defense to fall back on. These other Titans just sitting here doing nothing. No crushes, no extra defenses. 3 Titans going down. 4 more are here nearby. 5 Titans even. They're going to blast away at these Seeker tanks and these Gunwalkers, but a lot of damage has already been done. Fortunately for Tasher, he's got this Marv keeping him in this game. That Marv is his economy, plus 16k per minute for Tasher. Violet at plus 18k per minute with just harvesters. And now Violet is gone up to tier 3, a warp chasm as well, and unfortunately for Tasher, no Firehawks, no Stratofighter to snipe that tier 3, no attempt to get anything back on the map, so Tasher is going to have to deal with this Eradicator Hexapod. And I mean, you know what? When your Steel Talons you have to do things sometimes the tough way, and Tasher is gonna have to do things the tough way. Fortunately, he does have railguns. Railguns did finish up. That's a huge benefit to his Titans, and I guess he's just gonna keep rolling with his Titan army. He's kept along a decent number of slingshots as well. I don't think there's been a big rebuild on aircraft. There's at least one gravity stabilizer, so there could be some Devastator warships coming out at some point, but for the current moment, it's just tripods. It's tripods on the ground with the Eradicator hexapod, and we'll see. This is not enough Titans to deal with this. However, the opportunity for Shockwave Artillery still exists, at least with that tech center, and a Marv in combination with these Titans with something like Shockwave Artillery could be absolutely massive to shut down this army. We'll see. Tripods moving forward. They look so goofy as they fall into that little trench. Are Titans going to try and fight this one off without the Marv? The Marv is down here just waiting. I mean, I wouldn't want to put the Marv in against this army by itself. I would definitely want the Marv to be in a more defensive position where it can't just get EMP'd by a tripod and then removed from the game. And I guess Violet is Skrin, so he does have stasis as well. So that's one thing that we haven't had to worry about, is all of those later game one clicks. And I assume Violet is keeping a stasis in mind, but there are no Corruptors with this army, and that Eradicator goes down. That Eradicator was out of position, and now the Tripod's going to be moving forward a lot, and these Titans are incredibly low on health, and the Tripods are going to be trading. No Marv to be seen down there in the south, doing virtually nothing, and Tripod husks litter the ground. So many Titans incredibly low on health, and the Titans are just going to roll over these husks, crushing them to dust and not going for the recovery. And the drone ship has gone down as well. These slingshots were valuable late in the game. The tungsten shell annihilating that drone ship. And wow, that Marv was not even needed. I cannot believe they took down all of those tripods without even the help of the Marv. Those railgun accelerators are insane. I have to imagine that was utilized in that fight. That Marv, not even needed. I can't believe he did that without the Marv. That fight went completely away from the Skrin player. And I mean, leading with that Eradicator hexapod and the Eradicator hexapod getting jumped on without basically being able to return fire, that was a big part of that. That's one of those things that we just don't see very often, because so rarely does a Skrin player move out with an Eradicator hexapod that isn't supported by like 46 Corruptors. And well, it doesn't happen very often, and I guess that's one of the reasons why that doesn't happen very often. And despite how weird the start of this game was, we're now in an almost mined out situation. So both of these players have eaten up almost all of their Tiberium in their fields, and they've been actively harvesting, so all of the fields are empty basically at the same time, which means we get this potential last big fight. Tasher has 10 grand in the bank. Wow, so Tasher can actually rebuild. We do have the opportunity. Well, Violet starting to bank resources. Okay, 3 grand in the bank. We could see some big one clicks coming in from Violet to save this game. A combination of a stasis and a tripod surround. If he's able to cut this army in half. Okay, he grabs the Marv. He doesn't necessarily cut the army in half, but he's going to be able to pick up a kill on one Mammoth tank pretty easily there. And then the rest of these units might be piecemealed out. Orbital bombardment going to be coming in. Violet is making this one last stand. There's going to be the phase on top of the Eradicator hexapod. Shockwave artillery as well, locking down 5 of these tripods. And now the Marv going to be coming back online, but the EMP lands on that Marv, and it's going to be tier 1 Skrin coming in from the right side to help out with these tripods. The crush from this Eradicator is the only active attack from this the screen in this battle. The Marv is so low on health. The EMP keeping it in place, stopping it from participating, and the Marv goes down. The EMP eliminated it from this game. One behemoth steps out onto the map, and the tripod front line is now back online. The EMP doesn't last forever. And Violet, with the help of those one clicks, has found an angle back into this game. That stasis was good, but the EMP from that tripod was even better. And Violet comes through 4-5 tripods here on the front line. One of them falls as the Eradicator crushes forward, and Violet almost beaten back to oblivion, but never giving up, will step into the Steel Talons base and end it once and for all. Descents inside of this Eradicator. Not much left on the side of the Steel Talons. GG comes out, and Tasher has been defeated. That'll be the end of the game, and, well, good night to Tasher. Quite a back and forth here on Threshold 19. Violet starting out extremely aggressive, and in the end, it paid off. And that takes us to Tiki Turmoil. And hopefully this one makes it into the YouTube VOD, because that last game was great. And then I realized, oh, that Master Leaf versus Bike Rush game, I have already casted it. So yes, it was a great game. And you can go check out the regular video, but it won't be here. Anyways, in the north, this is Steel. He's playing Cyan GDI. I don't know, does that RUBLR, does that mean Russia, Belarus? Or does it mean something else? I don't know. Anyways, on the south side, ooh, going a couple of rockets right from the beginning, and actually also playing Steel Talons. This is Numbfish. Now, these two guys, I feel like I've seen them, but I'm not particularly familiar with them. Okay, well, I guess I don't need to be particularly familiar with them, because they are not going to be playing a very typical game. This is an airfield rush, and real quick, we don't have to do this very often, but let's check Numbfish's vision. Great anti-scout here. Now, that may be telling. Numbfish may realize that, whoa, that was a heck of an anti-scout. It's an MCV cell as well. So this is very much all in. This is pretty much all or nothing for Numbfish, or excuse me, for Steel. No War Factory, no way to rebuild the MCV. And we're gonna, oh, what is going on? So this is really, really bizarre. This is either a perfect read by Numbfish, where he realized because of the anti-scouts that this was going to be an all-in, and he wanted to get those MRTs out onto the map as soon as possible. MRTs don't turn around, so he's just happy to let this Harvester die as long as he's got enough in the bank, which currently he does not. He does have at least one tib refinery, or tib spike, so he's not worried about getting the Harvesters or keeping the Harvesters online. He just wants to cross map and kill off his opponent. Orca's coming in. They're going to be able to clean up one of the MRTs. The second and third MRT are going to survive. Nope, one more goes down. So only 2 MRTs remain, and the Orcas are now crossing the map back from attacking the Steel Talons player. On the other side, though, Harvester getting targeted down. This Harvester needs to stay alive. There is no way to rebuild Harvesters, and these Orcas going to be trading out with these MRTs. Any rockets left? Yes, indeed. So they will be able to get both of the MRTs, and that buys some more time, but this is an MCV cell. Why? I mean, I guess you have to at this point, because he lost all of his Harvesters and he had so little cash in the bank. He needed to get another Harvester out. He couldn't just wait for that tib spike to slowly tick, tick, tick up to the next number. You can always rebuild an MCV as long as you've got a War Factory and a Harvester, but these pit bulls, they have got their work cut out for them, and this is a situation where you might want to sacrifice one of the pit bulls just so that you know when and where the Orcas are coming from. He is going to keep his pit bulls mostly together, and the orcas, unlike storm riders, do have to return to base to refuel. But pit bull is here. Harvester is going to get jumped on, and this is perfect for Steel because it means that refinery takes maximum splash damage as well. One of the pit bulls did get picked off, and the rest of the pit bulls were not able to engage the harvesters, so that was, or engage the orcas. So for Numbfish, that was sort of the worst case scenario. He lost one pit bull, and the rest of the pit bulls were basically useless, not able to engage with those orcas. Pit bulls still going to cross the map. There are a couple of hammerheads here, and as long as the pit bulls can find the right angle, they can kill off these units. But it's 5 pit bulls versus 4 orcas and 3 hammerheads. So I am definitely worried for the pit bulls here. I don't think a direct engagement. Well, the orcas could sink all of their rockets into very few pit bulls, but as long as the orcas spread out their rockets, the pit bulls will go down more than quick enough, and these 5 pit bulls will not survive. However, they are going to get a couple of shots off here on the orcas before they arrive. That's perfect for the Steel Talons player. Numbfish needs as many shots spread out as possible. This refinery is still low on health. No repairs happening on that refinery. Very low income for both players, of course. Both of them are just so worried about having anything left. Rifleman does get taken out there. Honestly, I think that Rifleman might have even been better served inside of a hammerhead instead of running around the map. And we do have an Orca strike crossing the map as well. Gonna tag this refinery, and that's a great spot for it. Don't even worry about trying to, get the harvester outside or something. And instead, the Orca strike will come in, not quite covered with the real orcas, but the refinery does go down, the harvester as well. So what you see is what you get. The slow tick of that tib spike is all that remains for Numbfish. He is going to cross the map with his pit bulls. He is going to try and end this right here, right now. The hammerheads are extremely low on health. The orca is down to half. The first rebuilt orca is now online. This harvester might even just need to return to base with a little bit of with not quite full Tiberium, just to make sure that he gets that Tiberium harvested as quickly as possible. You want as many units out for when these pit bulls show up. And Numbfish, I guess you just commit to the attack as hard as you can. The focus fire needs to be really good from Numbfish. Both of the hammerheads go down. A third hammerhead still remains, and the orca is being targeted on the deck. Finally, the hammerheads are down. The orcas as well. So few pit bulls remain. The riflemen might actually be able to overwhelm these pit bulls. One by one, these pit bulls could be knocked down, depending on how quickly they can actually be produced, but they'll be knocked down by the riflemen of all things. The pit bulls can't beat riflemen in these numbers, and now with so little left on both sides, Numbfish is actually going to just sell off his power plant to get a little teeny tiny extra cash boost. Maybe he goes for an MRT and the rifleman inside of it so that he's got one anti-rifleman vehicle, and that will also give him repairs as well. But the income is just so low for both of these players. The tib spike is it for both of them. Just sell off this refinery. You don't need the refinery, you need the cash. You've got the upgraded power plant anyway, so it's not really doing you any good. You could even sell off the power plant as well, but just sell off that refinery. Pitbull's going to be targeting down this airfield, and, well, the riflemen actually just bought themselves a foxhole. Rifleman trying to chase down these pitbulls. Orca strike comes in, tags a couple of these pitbulls very low on health. Really good focus firing there. You could see that Steel actually chose the lowest health pitbull. He stopped the auto attacks, and he chose the lowest health pitbull manually to take down. Meanwhile, the War Factory is still full health. The Orca now going to be closing in. There's nothing here to shoot except for that War Factory, so you might as well unload on it. Even if your opponent uses some money to repair it, that's money that they're not spending getting another Pitbull. Both players still have their tib spike. This one is down below half health. This one is still... Oh, actually, I didn't even realize that Steel grabbed both of those tib spikes, probably with his MCV cell engineer to secure both of those. So the income is 0 for Numbfish, he just has that War Factory, $581, and that is pretty much it. Orca gets taken down, the Pitbulls get the kill, and the Pitbulls escape for now. 2 Tiberium spikes versus 0. So I guess eventually you can rebuild, but I guess I'm not sure how much Tiberium this provides. So I did not realize that both of the tip spikes were under the control of Steel, and that is probably why he keeps the refinery. I'm not sure how much Tiberium you can have in the bank if you don't have a refinery and you don't have an MCV. But it could be that he's keeping that refinery so that he can actually, he doesn't have to produce units constantly. He can bank a little bit. I'm not sure why he's not building an Orca or a Hammerhead or something, just building almost literally anything. But he's not, and so his riflemen are just going to chase down these Pitbulls. I mean, suiciding Orcas is normally a bad idea, but when you've got no other production and you've got 2 tip spikes, you might as well build some Orcas to suicide them. Ooh, the riflemen have built foxholes on both sides of this War Factory. I like that as a defensive move. It's unfortunate that he does not have 2 riflemen to actually be able to garrison that, and now we are down to 1 tib spike for Steel. He might actually lose that tib spike as well because riflemen cannot outrun Pitbulls. They cannot catch up to Pitbulls. There are 4 riflemen, one of them single vet, one of them double vet, and reinforcements actually coming in. That's what he was banking all of his cash for, and that is what he actually needed that money for. So keeping the refinery was the right move. I was wrong to call for its sell off because you need the Tiberium silos that are included in the refinery to bank enough cash to get the reinforcement call in, and that is great from Steel. He gets himself the Bloodhounds, and now he's not necessarily unstoppable, but he's probably unstoppable from this point. He doesn't have the War Factory for repairs or anything, but he can at least garrison up these APCs. He's got 2 Pitbulls, and if time goes long enough, he can just call in more and more reinforcements. That will tick up slowly but surely, 10 credits a second until he's got enough to call in more Bloodhounds. And in theory, that is an infinite Bloodhound machine. But he could also just try and suicide everything on the War Factory, try and go for the kill, and you know that your opponent can't really repair it. Well, he can repair it for a little while, but he can't repair it forever. And man, if he grabbed this garrison, that would just make this even more annoying. If he grabbed that, gun down the rifleman, he doesn't quite get them, but he gets more damage onto the War Factory. The Pitbull's trying to rotate away to take damage, or to split the damage across multiple units. Rifleman closing in for Steel. Both of the Pitbulls have gone down. Numbfish trying to hold the line, and APC mine drop forcing these Pitbulls to hold position or to be killed off. And of course, they'll waste their time shooting those if they are not targeted properly. APC is going to go down. Pitbull micro is pretty darn perfect, and there goes that APC. Numbfish clears out all of the mines, and Steel, he's now back in the same position that he was. He needs to keep a hold of that tib spike, otherwise he is out of options. And the riflemen have gone down. The Bloodhounds have been eliminated. And honestly, I think that, holding on for a second round of Bloodhounds might have been the right call there. He did do a good chunk of damage on that War Factory, and that will bleed Numbfish dry. Numbfish is going to be completely out of cash by the time he gets done repairing that War Factory. And keeping along this refinery is the right call. Airfield is taking more damage. Riflemen are going to try and close in. They're running as fast as they can. Repair gets called in, and Orca Strike as well, trying to hit those Pitbulls. And the repair is, yeah, I mean, it's quite fast, but Cash is running out. There's the sell-off of the refinery. So 1 extra rifleman squad and a cash boost to keep this airfield alive. That might mean he can never build up enough cash to actually call in the Bloodhounds again. But, man, selling off that refinery, that really limits his options depending on how much cash you can actually have without a refinery, which I guess we will find out how much cash you can have in your bank account if you don't have a refinery and you don't have an MCV. Meanwhile, these riflemen are just going to be chasing down these pit bulls endlessly, looking for the kill. Pit bull's going to be able to take down the Tib Spike little by little. And yeah, the weakened pit bull just pulls back, and then the riflemen have to target something else. And now the money is gone. There's no more money on the map. There's no way to get money. So I guess you decide which one of these buildings you want to keep and which one you want to sell off. And then you sell it off and you just jump to the other side of the map. There are now 3 foxholes. And I guess you try and approach with riflemen maybe from 2 different sides so that you can garrison up one of the foxholes. And you just put as much damage into that war factory as you can. If you get lucky, then you kill off your opponent's foxhole or rifleman outside of the foxhole, and then that means that you can use the foxholes against the pit bulls, and you can basically kill the pit bulls with the riflemen, and then inside of the foxhole you'll be good to go. And he's gonna kill off his own foxhole to stop any of that from happening. And yeah, with the foxhole, it is such a benefit to those riflemen. He's unable to do anything. He's going to try and cut around the left side. Steel looking for the right angle to be able to move in and kill off that war factory. Pitbull's going to be forced back once again. The infinite cycle of Pitbulls and healing. And he got a foxhole outside of range, so it is a war factory. Oh, and he's going to call in the Orca Strike as well. A good use of cash to just blast away at that war factory. $0 left in the bank for both players. Truly the end of the line, and who can kill the building faster? It is going to be riflemen inside of a foxhole, and that is 2 squads, but I don't think they're full squads of riflemen versus this power plant and airfield. And that's now a 3rd rifleman squad that is here, so they can put out a decent amount of damage, but free repairs on those pit bulls. They will be able to break that foxhole open, and I guess you could run in with your rifleman squad to try and dislodge them, but no cash to get another foxhole. Yeah, you run out of range of the riflemen. If you're in range of your opponent's riflemen inside of that foxhole, it's very difficult to do anything. Riflemen come out. Is he going to be able to get the double vet? Rifleman squad wins the fight. Numbfish comes through clutch with the double vet rifleman squad from earlier in the game, slowly ranking up over the entirety of this game, and that may have been enough. He's crossing the map with it, though, so I guess this is still anyone's game, depending on what happens to this rifleman. Pitbull moving in, trying to draw the infantry into the Tiberium field. Always a good plan there. And also these Pitbulls just like slowly ranking up. Any one of these riflemen, if they get lucky and they get a kill on one of these Pitbulls, like if that double vet rifleman gets a kill on the double vet Pitbull, that could very well be a heroic rifleman, and that's going to be a lot more powerful. He goes golden, and now that rifleman is putting out a lot more damage, and the GG gets called. Steel has been defeated, a much more extended game than we were expecting on Tiki Turmoil, and of course the unit's completely flatlining. The resource is going to be a slow, steady grade, and you can see that's where the second tip spike was eliminated, and then it's flat for both players. But an intense game to play for these two guys, and that will do it for this match. And that brings us now to Tournament Odyssey for a Traveler versus Marked of Kane game. In the north, playing the purple, this is the Traveler, this is Vortex. And in the south, this is the green Marked of Kane. This is Giga. And I think this is going to have to be it for this subscriber replay showcase. Although I think the YouTube video is going to be a lot shorter than the Twitch stream ends up being, but that's okay. It'll be what it is. And we got more subscriber replays to showcase. I just don't have the time to get to them right now. And instead, hopefully we're going to be finishing it up with this 1v1 on Tournament Odyssey. Marked of Kane versus Traveler. Two very strong factions, especially. This was R19, so it's a little bit older, but Marked of Kane was plenty strong in R19. Traveler was still plenty strong in R19, even though this is not an R21 game, which I think at the current time of recording, R21F, which is a hotfix, is the most recent version. Of course, Master Leaf always puts a ton of work into the R21 or onto the 1.02 plus changes and the map packs, but yeah, so this is a little bit older. It's not necessarily the tip-top most recent thing, and okay, tournament, the buzzer really far away. As long as the targeting is good, yeah, this many Awakened squads, they have no problem eliminating buzzers. If you are not familiar with fighting Awakened squads, you look at Awakened squads and you're like, it's 3 guys, I can kill that. And then like Awakened squads shred 30 buzzers. EMP it. Oh, he used all of his EMPs. He couldn't EMP it. Wah, wah, wah. Those two Awakened squads end up being able to escape because the MCV is repositioning. Buzzer on the other side of the map just being annoying, attacking the Harvesters, keeping an eye on everything. Great way for a Scrin player to keep an eye on everything is these buzzers. You get the little reveal of stealth, and eventually the buggy should clean up these buzzers. You can keep an eye on your opponent's Harvester count. EMP lands right as this drone ship is deployed. Super annoying. But yeah, Awakened squads, they can kill off a huge number of opposing infantry. Whatever you have, unless it's more Awakened squads, they're probably going to lose to Awakened squads. And even just a single Awakened squad can be so powerful, especially if it's a full health Awakened squad. Expansion is up for Giga. He's got himself another refinery over there. He's got himself a couple of Harvesters. Vortex, on the other hand, a bit slower on the expansion. He has been dealing with super annoying EMPs, but also he apparently goes straight into the nerve center. So it is not a one base to tier 2 tech. It is a natural expansion into an immediate tech up. So no eco boom for Vortex. He may eventually get to the eco boom stage of the game, but he's going to delay that just a little bit. Lightning Spike is here, so this is the big telegraph moment that, hey, my opponent has gone tier 2. He's got repair drones as well. Wow. He is committing a lot to this attack, which means, yeah, these extra Seeker tanks are going to be streaming across the map, but already the Seeker tanks are getting overwhelmed. There's 4 or 5 Scorpion tanks here, plus EMPs. Giga is going to be able to hold this, and this is a lot invested. Lightning Spike, Seeker tanks, Gunwalker, plus repair drones. All of this stuff adds up, and as long as these Scorps get repairs, it's going to be no problem for the Marked of Kane player. One of those moments where you vastly overestimate how much you can get done here, and that was a bunch of cash down the drain for a player who is already slow on natural expansion eco. Of course, Vortex can pivot right out of this, get himself a couple of more Harvesters, a couple of more refineries, and be absolutely fine. But we'll see if these Scorpion tanks are able to cross map and do any damage, because this could be the big 1-2 punch. Ooh, I love the expansion grab. We'll see if it comes into be anything, but for the current moment, Descents are going to be the choice to try and hold this off. Harvester is here, and Harvester takes a lot of damage right in the beginning. Those Scorpion tanks getting a good couple of shots off while the Harvester was unloading Tiberium, and a power plant block to save that Harvester, but it's even not enough. Second Harvester takes a lot of damage, but a couple of Scorps will at least be traded back for it, and the Seeker Tank Descent combo has enough firepower to push back these Scorps. But against Scrin, Seeker Tank, or excuse me, Scorpion Buggy is a very powerful combination. Under the right hands, with the right control. Reverse move. Bug catches that Scorpion tank, trades it back for a Seeker tank, so that's actually okay for the Marked of Kane player. He's gonna be fine with a reverse move Bug as long as he gets a Seeker tank for it. But with the right control, under the hands of the right people, the Scorpion tank. Does he already have one clicks? He does indeed. So Giga lines up a couple of good 1-2 punches there. He's got dozer blades as well, which means these descents are a lot less impressive, and he's got the right combination of buggies and scorps, and he is, able to use them well enough. He's got the hands that are good enough to control them in the basic way. And man, this Traveler player has been taking a beating. He has been having a tough time. We'll see if he is able to pivot out of it. Maybe we'll see some big mind control come back in the later stages of this game. But the natural expansion economy has never really been well underway or well online because of how delayed it was, and then the fact that the bikes came in, killed off a couple of harvesters. This MCV could get grabbed by these descents. Free MCV, and they get it all the way down to 0 with the help of the fact that it was walking its way across the map. Descents move in. They see a third MCV. Okay, no, that's just a second MCV. But Avatars and Awakened are going to be able to save those harvesters. Meanwhile, over on the other side of the map, it is not going to be Avatars and Awakened saving that MCV, but they will eventually be able to deal with these descents and save those harvesters. Buggy Scorp on the north side of the map, trying to poke and prod this Scrin player to do some damage. Natural expansion is finally once again back up to that double refinery place. A difficult spot for our Scrin player, but he has got some big damage in the last couple of minutes that has helped to even things up. It's not a total equalization. I love the proxy portal here as well. This engineer running for the hills. I think he was going for the defensive turret, but he knew he wasn't going to be able to get there. So he turns back around. It's going to be cultists as the transition for Vortex Madness, and he is going to be hoping that he can mind control his way to victory, and he may be able to. We'll see. The Scorp buggy is still threatening the main base of Vortex Madness. We'll see what he's able to grab with these cultists. The MCV is now packed back up, walking its way to the high ground. I don't know if he's fully realized the fact that there is this proxy barracks up there, and these descents are not going to be able to do very much. Enough buggies are here to gun them down, and the Scorps don't feel too bad either. And oh no, the Prodigy right as that MCV shows up. So mind control. Oh, he just mind controls the MCV and sells it off. Gets his own Awakened squad, his own engineer as well, that he can send into that defensive tower if he wants. And there goes the MCV. There goes the that Awakened squad. And suddenly, our Marked of Kane player is not in nearly the spot that he thought he was going to be. He thought he was going to be double expanded. He thought he was going to be controlling this battlefield, and instead, he is going to be expanding up to the high ground. He does have that Redeemer. He's had it out for quite some time, but it's not a Flame Redeemer. It's a Double Engineer Redeemer. The unfortunate downside of Marked of Kane is that you don't have those flame weapons, and on top of that, he gets the Tier 3. He shuts down the tech of the Marked of Kane player, and oh no, it's a signal transmitter. It is a mothership as well, and well, in this case, I think you just sell everything off. If you're the Marked of Kane player, sell off these 4 buildings. There isn't a whole lot here, and yeah, they're gonna go down anyways. Like, not really that big of a loss. Not a big chain reaction, but still always great to see a drone ship. And yeah, the Nod player just commits to the other side of the map. Drone ship blinks away, fresh expansion, ready to go. Vortex still has $3 grand in the bank. Vortex still has 2 tip spikes under his control, and that drone ship, or that mothership, is just going to be moving its way along the south side of the map, looking for more and more targets. There is 1 attack bike here, so that attack bike, if it starts attacking immediately, might be able to kill the mothership before it fires again. If the bike waits, then maybe the mothership will be able to get another shot off. Cultists showing up. They might be able to grab a couple of these avatars. There's a decent number of cultists. Okay, only 3 cultists actually, so not enough to grab all of the Nod ground units. And these are Tib core missiles as well, so they hit hard, and 3 bikes should be enough to kill off this mothership before it fires again. No big problem there. And we love to see the mothership, but in this case, it doesn't have much effect. MCV escaped to the high ground, and where do these engineers keep coming from? I'm not actually sure, and unfortunately, an MCV, I think, just got capped as well. There's a ton of stuff happening in this game that we just don't quite see. Rage Gen fires off, but most units have already been given their commands, so it has very little effect. Avatar did get grabbed by the mind control, and that's one more Avatar on the wrong side of this fight. Giga may not be able to hold on to this ground, but he is going to try with everything that he's got, bringing the Enlightened squads to the front line, bringing the TIB troopers to the front line, and then the EMP doesn't land! The tripods don't get the EMP, which means Giga will not be stopped. One of these bikes has gone fully heroic, and they're going to be targeting down harvesters. Giga gets the perfect kill there on the remaining tripods. He may have very little left in terms of buildings or infrastructure, but he has got a lot of heart left here in this game. He can even still produce engineers to capture these tripods, and these avatars just don't crush the husk. Well, I guess if you don't plan on capturing it, then yes, do crush the husk, but also kill off these cultists for sure. Make sure you don't. The GG gets called. Vortex gives up, and that will be it. Giga gets the win, and Vortex will have to leave the game. So two very crazy 1v1s. Definitely not your typical matches here in Kane's Wrath. And that'll do it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and this is Sybert signing out.